One.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Dr. Fauziah Muhammad Hasan, and today inshallah we are going to be sharing some of my experiences in my medical missions, whether locally in Malaysia and also internationally in several countries all over the world. A very good afternoon and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Majority I have been actually involved in many humanitarian missions, and I have been interviewed by a few people, and most of the favorite question that they ask me is always, why are you involved in these humanitarian missions? So for me, as a medical doctor, there are two reasons basically why I would like, and I am very passionate about this humanitarian actions. Namely, number one is because basically it is a matter of responsibility and also our human conscience. And I would like to take an example, like say one day you are walking on the road and suddenly you saw a person fallen into a big hole. So as a person who saw that incident, what are your choices? What are your actions? There are many actions that we can take. The person in the hole was screaming to say, please help me, I am in a deep hole, can somebody help me to come out? As a person above the ground who are able to do anything, you have many choices. You can just say, oh, I'm sorry, she has fallen down, I can't do much, and just walk away. Or you will say, oh, he'll manage in the hole, and hopefully somebody else will come and help you. Or you can take a step saying that as a human being, I will help him. We'll take a step whether I will call others to help or I will myself help the person. So it's the same situation in the humanitarian crisis, or where there are a lot of, you know, in the world the humanitarian needs is very, very huge. So we can have a choice whether we want to take actions to help, or we would just want to say, oh, I pity them and that's it. So as for me, as a medical person, this responsibility of helping is already very much ingrained into me and into doctors as we take our oath as a Muslim physician. And I would like to quote some portion of the Muslim physician's oath, namely it says, and I quote, so that we, the doctors, may devote our lives in serving mankind, poor or rich, literate or illiterate, Muslim or non-Muslim, black or white, with patience, with tolerance, with virtue and reverence, with knowledge and vigilance, with your love in our heart and compassion for your servants, the most precious creation. And we also, the doctors, will uphold honor and dignity for the benefit of mankind. So it is actually ingrained in us as doctors to help the mankind. And for me as a woman, or as an obstetrician and gynecologist, we take care of women from womb to tomb. Number two, the reason why I joined these humanitarian missions is because, you see, this journey on the life, this life is a journey. And for me, we want to ensure that this journey ends with a success and with goodness. And as a Muslim, we believe that entering Jannah or paradise or heaven is our ultimate aim in the life hereafter. That's what we believe. And there are many verses in the Quran and the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ which stresses on the doing goodness or doing righteous deeds with sincerity and belief in Allah, and definitely the reward will Jannah. So that is our aim. So there are two things, is responsibility and a human conscience, and of course we want to ensure that our ultimate aim or our ultimate aim in life is actually to enter paradise. I remember my first mission back in 1999, which is almost 20 years ago. We went to Kosovo. Kosovo is what the international call the country Kosovo. But when you mix the people in Kosovo, they don't like them to be called Kosovo. They call themselves Kosova. And we met this young, vibrant girl. She's in the early 20s. She's a biological student. Her name is Azamina Kukai. She is one of our translators, and she is the one who actually brought us around to the villages and saw the carnage of the war, and also helped run the mobile clinics in Kosovo. I would like to tell her some of her story, because we still keep in touch. Even though it's 20 years ago, we still keep in touch with each other. And she has been helping, I think, for two missions. So she is in contact with the Malaysian doctors. She said when the Malaysian doctors approached her whether she would like to become one of the translators, she kept thinking to herself, why don't I help my countrymen? Whereas these people, the doctors from Malaysia, who has got no blood bondage, except that we believe that we should help you in humanity, come all over the way. Some of the people in Kosovo don't even know where Malaysia was, leaving their comfort, leaving the homes, leaving the family, just to help the people in Kosovo. So she kept asking herself, why don't I help my own countrymen, whereas these people who came all over from Malaysia, many thousands miles away from Kosovo, to come and help us. So she actually told me that she learned from the Malaysian doctors how to treat people with respect, how to be humble, and how to be working and not expecting any reward. So basically, to be sincere in your working. So Azamina herself was very much affected by the war in Kosovo. Her father actually told her to join the other refugees to run away from Kosovo so that she can go and continue her studies and be safe. But Azamina, for the first time, told us that she defied her father's advice. She, in fact, walked through the mountains from Pristina to her countryside, to her village, through the mountains. And so when she arrived home, the father said, we counted you as one of the living. Why did you come back to die? That's what her father told her. Because her father told her to move with the refugee to another country, to a safe haven. But she instead come back because of her responsibility to look after the parents. And her answer was, only Allah is the one who gives life or death. So Azamina stayed with the parents and making sure that they are safe. And for 3 months, she told us that they were moving from mountains to mountains, and they saw many massacres, killing, burnt houses, schools, mass shooting, mass graves, and so on, as you always see in a war zone country. And she told us for 3 months they were only having corns to eat, nothing to eat, and they were having to share with others. And Allah saved her, because one day before the war ended, a Serbian army caught her for questioning. And she thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she also doesn't know how she was released. And until now, she promised, from then on, she promised to give back to her country. And she is now, from then on, she continued back to study her biology. She graduated and she has been working with the orphans. She's been working with the widows, and she's now the school principal of a high school, and she owns a shoe factory. And she said, I've never made a lot of money, but I earned so many people's heart. A lesson I learned from Malaysian doctors. Perhaps financially, she said, I am not rich, but I am rich in the heart. So that's the story of Azamina, who is actually very inspiring. She learned from the Malaysian doctors how to treat people with respect, and she gives back to the people of Kosovo up till now. So recently, I was given the opportunity to actually help the Rohingya refugees, which has been scrambled up in Kutupalong, in Cox's Bazar, Bangladesh. As we know, the recent onslaught of the Rohingya, who have been brutalized, tortured, killed, and were forced to Bangladesh as a sanctuary, to flee to sanctuary in Bangladesh. And the massacre, we know that it can be classified as a genocide, and many describe as a textbook ethnic cleansing. So when we went to one of the camp, when you stood up in one of the hill, you can see the tents, which are made of bamboos and plastics, as far as your eyes can see. So you can imagine more than 600,000 people just fled and rushed to stay in this crowded area in several camps. And they are all living in a very desperate situation. The floor is mud, they sleep on the mud, there is no electricity, the toilet is very close to the houses, to the water pumps, and we were told that 80% of the water supply is being contaminated with E. coli, which is a bacteria that is causing a lot of acute gastrointestinal infection, diarrhea in children especially. So you can imagine, with a very poor source of water, the children are in very bad shape. And our heart trembles when we saw these massive tents, in a makeshift tents, and the monsoon will be coming soon, and we can imagine if the heavy rain falls, what will happen to these tents, and if the flood is coming, what will happen to the people. And also, when we were there, it was actually winter, and during night time it was pretty cold. And you see, each tent has got a toilet that is a few meters away from the house. If it is at night, it would be a pitch black area. And how do you think a woman or a child who wants to go to the toilet will be safe and will feel safe and comfortably going to ease themselves? So these are the situations that we saw, and we hope that this situation will ease with our help and with everybody's help, and we could see that people are just pouring in with donations, with blankets, with mats, with pots, with solar lamps, and so on, for making sure that these people will have an slightly more comfortable life and live with a little bit of dignity in the crowded camp. Alhamdulillah, I was also fortunate to join the mobile clinic, which was organized jointly by Charity Society for Bangladeshi Doctors, IMARAT, where is Imam, or Islamic Medical Association of Malaysia Medical Response Relief Team, and FEMA International Consortium for Rohingya. So there are a number of doctors joining, and we went to Tengkali, camp in Tengkali, and there are 300,000 newcomers. 80% are newcomers since August 25th. And the camps, we moved every day we move camps so that we want to try to cover as many not really patients, as many refugees as possible. And Alhamdulillah, we were also able to bring a mobile ultrasound. And as you know, there is no electricity, so we have to charge our ultrasound the night before. Unfortunately, that ultrasound or the battery can only last for 1.5 hours. And at each clinic, we have 60% are mothers who are pregnant, and they are very young mothers. And we have to screen them because we definitely cannot do an ultrasound for all. So because of the limited electricity or power that we have to screen who are the people who are in need of ultrasound. And with that, we managed to actually screen or diagnose. Some of them are twins. One of the lady came and the tummy is so big, and they say, I'm due, I'm going to be delivering soon. But when we scan her, it's only it's a twin pregnancy at about only 7 months. So definitely she's not really ready to deliver, and as we know, twin pregnancy goes into premature labor and they can deliver anytime. So these are the things that we detected, and unfortunately many of the Rohingya, because of their situation in Myanmar, they are not educated and they do not know how far pregnant they are. So for those people who are pregnant very early on, we definitely want to scan them so that we can estimate their expected due date and given the date so that they know exactly when they are going to be due, inshallah. And also because we are the women, we know what women wants. We insisted that the examination hall or examination room for the women must be secluded. So we bought some material in the bazaar, in Cox's Bazaar or market. They are very cheap material, and we make sure that the rooms are covered, because these women definitely are terrified because of the trauma they have undergone in Myanmar, in Rakhine, and we want to make sure that they feel safe with us. We have to walk maybe 1 kilometer inside the camp to go and reach to where the camps, where the mobile clinic is being held. And most of the women that we saw are difficult to curve a smile, even if we tell them that you are pregnant and your pregnancy is good. I saw a few ladies who are really, really traumatized in their lives. They are young women. Many mothers are young, with young women who are pregnant with 1 or 2 more children with them. One particular lady that struck me was, she hardly smiled, and you can see she's terrified, she's depressed. She just stared emptily into the space. And when we asked her, she said she's only about 21, 22 years old. And she came here alone with 2 other children, and this is her 3rd pregnancy. Her husband was killed in front of her, and she doesn't know where are her siblings, her sisters, her brothers, and she doesn't know where her parents are. So you can imagine a young girl, early 20s, with 2 children and pregnant, came alone with only her friends and her neighbors to a very difficult place where she could not see her future too. So with these mothers who are depressed, it is also a problem, because they will not cook, they will not find food, and the other 2 children that she has will also suffer if she doesn't take care of these children, of her 2 other children. So you can see it is a snowballing effect of the mothers who are being depressed, and if they are not treated properly, and if they are not given assurance of their safety and the future. As you know, she feels that her future is so bleak. So, Rose to Rose is an agency in humanitarian camp Malaysia. We actually focus on on women empowerment and children education, and this woman basically falls to what we want to do for her. We of course refer her to our psychiatrist from CSBD so that she can be treated, and we also gave her some money so that she can go to the appropriate hospitals when labor comes. And we want Rose to Rose actually want to or we are already establishing or building a women's center in one of the camps in Cox's Bazar, and our aim is actually to train this woman to sew the clothes. As we see, there are so many children in the camp naked, so we think that these women can be trained if we supply them with a sewing machine, with teachers who can teach them how to sew. In fact, some of them, when I spoke to the women, they are tailors in Rakhine, so they can teach these people to stitch, and so that they can stitch the clothes, stitch the uniforms, the blankets, whatever they need for the camps. And we want to empower them. At the same time, we want to make them literate. We want to teach them how to read. We want to teach them the basics of hygiene. We want to teach them the basics of education to the children. At the same time, as we know, like the lady that I spoke to you just now, that she has got nobody to look after the two children, so we want to have this women's center. Attached to it is the nursery, so that the children will be taken care of. At the same time, will be given some education, inshallah. And I just want to end with to say that, like Azamina, she contributed back to her country. So we believe in humanitarian actions. We want to give them fishing rod and not just fish. So we want to make sure these women, the Rohingya women, or all the women that we help, the Syrian women, the people, the Palestinian women, education and knowledge and training, so that they themselves can help rebuild their country. We cannot leave the woman out in any process of living, whether it be during emergency, rehabilitation, or rebuilding of the development of any society, because women make up the other half of the society, and we have different perspective and different needs that will only be told by only the women. So by including the women, God willing, the process will be inshallah holistic and wholesome, as women and men are complementary to each other. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay.